Okay, good morning. So today we do Islam. Some quick facts, some questions that we will look at today about the Islamic Golden Age. The first major question is, while Europe was in its dark ages, Islam was embarked on its golden age. So the first question is, how did this happen? Why was there this divergence? Second question we're going to look at is, what ended the Islamic Golden Age? Why would this period come to an end? The third question we're going to look at is, eventually, how did Christian Europe overtake the Muslim world? So those are the three big questions we will look at in today's class. Some quick facts about Islam. It is the world's second largest religion. Christianity has 2 billion people. Islam has 1 billion people. They are divided into two major sects, the Shia, which is based primarily in Iran, and the Sunni, which is everywhere else. The light green are the Sunni people, and the dark green are the Shia people. And as you can see, Islam extends all across Africa, the Middle East, and Central Asia, and into India. The most populous Muslim country in the world is actually Indonesia. The Shia and the Sunni, the only major difference is that the Shia believe that only a direct descendant of Muhammad's grandson, Ali, can be the leader of the religion, whereas the Sunni do not believe this. Now, this is a religion of 1 billion people, so there are many different belief systems, many different sects within this cosmology, but this is really the major difference, okay, between the Shia and the Sunni. So Muslim means to submit yourself to God, to believe in God, and to submit yourself wholeheartedly to Him. And Islam was founded by a man named Muhammad, who the Muslims consider the prophet of God, the final prophet. And Jesus was the penultimate prophet. And the legend is that at age 40, Muhammad, who is a merchant or a trader, he has a vision. He goes into a cave to meditate, and the archangel Gabriel visits him and reveals to him certain visions that he has memorized. And these visions become the basis for the holy book of the Muslim tradition called the Quran. And Muhammad understands that his mission is to be a messenger of God and to reveal the truth of God to the pagan society in the Arabian world. So he's based in Mecca. And when he tries to reveal the truth, he is met with a lot of resistance. And eventually he's forced out of Mecca and he goes to Medina. This is called the Hijra in the Muslim tradition, the pilgrimage. And when he goes to Medina, he becomes the leader of the warring factions within Medina, primarily between the pagans, the Muslim tribes, and the Jewish tribes. So there are 3 major factions. And at this point, Muhammad creates something called the Constitution of Medina, which promises religious freedom to everyone within the Muslim tradition. Okay? So ever since the beginning, and this is very important, the religion of Islam was an open, tolerant, and inclusive religion. And they have basically maintained this tradition for the next 1,000 years. Okay? Eventually, Islam will spread from the Arabian desert to all across the Middle East. They will conquer the Persian Empire, and they will take at least half of the Byzantine Empire, including the richest parts of the Byzantine Empire, which are Syria and Egypt. They will also take Jerusalem, where they will build something called the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And legend has it that Muhammad ascended to heaven from this place. Now, what's really important for us to remember about this place is the Al-Aqsa Mosque, it's still there in Jerusalem. And it is built on top of something called the Temple Mount. Remember, in the year 70, the Romans burned down the second temple of the Jews, the holiest site in the Jewish faith. And then the Muslims came and built the Al-Aqsa Mosque on top of the Temple Mount. Now, this is a very strange thing to do. If the Muslim tradition is open, inclusive, and tolerant, and Jews are welcome into the tradition, why would you build a mosque on top of the Jewish holy site? That doesn't really make any sense. And quite honestly, this has been a mystery to everyone. No one has been able to figure this out, okay? So we will today attempt to solve one of the great mysteries in the Islam tradition. Why was the Al-Aqsa Mosque built on top of the Jewish Temple Mount? Okay? As I mentioned, the Arabs will expand from the desert of Arabia, and they will conquer the Sasanian Persian Empire, and they will take at least half of the Byzantines, okay? They will try to lay siege on Constantinople, but remember that when we discussed the Byzantine Empire, Constantinople is designed as an impenetrable fortress. So there'll be two major sieges, and because of the walls and because of Greek fire, they will be unable to take the city. The spread of Islam was lightning fast. In less than 100 years, they spread from the desert of Arabia, really the poorest place in this entire region, throughout most of the Middle East. Okay, so the dark green is where they started, and the light green is where they eventually expanded to. And remember, this process takes less than 100 years, which is remarkable. The Umayyad Caliphate was about 700. Okay, so let's just compare the Umayyad Caliphate with other empires, including the Tang. Okay, the Tang really is the height of Chinese civilization. But as you can see, the Umayyad Caliphate really is the largest empire in the world at this time. And eventually, they will also become the wealthiest empire at this time. There are 5 pillars of Islam. It is an extremely simple and clear religion when compared with Christianity and Judaism. Okay, there are 5 pillars to the religion. First of all, you have to believe that Allah, God, is the only God. Okay, and this mirrors the Christian and the Jewish faith. You are required to pray at least 5 times a day, facing the direction of Mecca. You must give money to the poor. You must fast during the holy days. The last thing is you must make something called the Hajj, which is a pilgrimage to the holy site in Mecca and perform rituals in Mecca. This is something that all Muslims must do, and you will have the poorest Muslims. They will save their entire lives just so that they could make this Hajj. Okay? The Muslim people are probably the most devout, the most religious people you will meet. They take their religion very, very seriously. This is the Hajj in Mecca. And I was actually in Saudi Arabia, and I tried to go there. And then I was told, only Muslims can go. and so I was at a train station, I was trying to buy a ticket to Mecca. And they said, what's your Muslim name? I'm like, well, I'm not Muslim. It's like, well, you can't go then. So I was disappointed. But it is a beautiful, absolutely one of the most beautiful rituals in the world today. Okay, So to summarize the introduction, there are three major mysteries to the history of Islam that we still haven't really solved today. Okay, the first mystery is we know that they have something called the Constitution of Medina. We also know that Jews who are literate were part of the early movement of Islam. So why do we have no early records for the first 100 years? What for the first 100 years of the movement? That's very, very strange. Okay. Another strange question. Another strange thing is, why would the Muslims go to war against two major empires, the Romans and the Persians? That's kind of suicidal. They didn't know they were going to win, so why did they go to war? Okay, that's the first mystery we'll solve today. Second mystery is, remember I said that the Shia and the Sunni have a major sectarian divide. The Shia believe that only the descendants of Muhammad's grandson Ali can be the caliph, the leader of the Muslim people. The Sunnis don't. So why didn't Muhammad just name a successor and avoid the civil wars that will erupt after his death? The third question is, why was Al-Aqsa built on the site of the Temple Mount? And this is still a problem today because a lot of the conflict in the Middle East is driven by this problem where the Jews want to rebuild the temple, but to do so, they would have to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is the third holiest site in the Islam world. So this is a very important question that is still relevant to us today. So we will also look at these three mysteries. And again, no one knows the answers to any of these three questions, and no one will ever know because so much of the historical record has been lost to us. But I will try to provide you with an explanation, okay, given my understanding of the Islamic world, which, by the way, is extremely limited, okay? So please ask questions. Please challenge me. I'm looking at you, Doug. Okay, all right. All right. Okay, so today's topic is Islamic Golden Age. So let's just have a quick look at the Golden Age. At the height of Islamic influence, there were a few centers of incredible cultural creativity. One such site is Bukhara, Uzbekistan. It's still there, guys. You can get on a plane, like Doug did, and visit it. It is an incredible city. I say that without actually having visited it, but I've heard terrific things from Doug. And you can go online as well and look at videos. But it is an incredible city. And it shows you the immense creativity, the artistic creativity of the Islamic Golden Age. But the main cultural center of the Islamic Golden Age is Baghdad. Okay? It's not so beautiful now, but back then it was really the center of the world. It's a round city, and it's a new city. This is a topographical map of the city. As you can see, it's surrounded by the Tigris and Euphrates, and it is a round city. Okay, one of the few round cities of that time. Baghdad was the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate, which started the Islamic Golden Age. The Abbasid Caliphate is the successor to the Umayyad Empire, okay? And this is where the Abbasid Caliphate was. And this is what Muslims consider the height of their civilization. The thing that's really important for us to understand about the Abbasid Empire is that not only were they influential in the Muslim world, but they eventually would come to create the world that we live in today. Okay? So when we think of globalization, we think of this as a recent phenomenon. But look at the trade routes that the Abbasid Caliphate would create over its 300 to 400 year history. It connects the entire world. Okay? As I mentioned last semester, globalization has always existed to a certain extent in world history. But the Abbasids, the Muslim religion, would take these existing networks and make them a lot richer, a lot more dense, and a lot faster. Okay? So You may not know this, but the Abbasids traded heavily with the Tang and the Song dynasties. In fact, it is the Abbasids who would initiate something called the Maritime Silk Road. The Overland Silk Road has existed for a long time, but it is the Abbasids who will eventually create the Maritime Silk Road. And it will bring China into the world to a greater extent than ever before. Okay? So this is the trade. The main center for cultural production in the Muslim world is something called the House of Wisdom. And its model is the Library of Alexandria. Okay? Remember last semester we discussed the Library of Alexandria in Egypt. And its mission was to be the first university to take all Hellenistic knowledge and culture and systemize it for dissemination. Okay? And the House of Wisdom was doing the same thing, where it would take all knowledge and culture within the Islamic world and outside the Islamic world and systemize and standardize it for mass dissemination. Okay? So the things that they were doing were they were taking Hindu numerals. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3. We still use them today. They took them from India, and again, they standardized it and disseminated this knowledge. They took works from Aristotle and Plato, translated into Arabic and Persian, and then disseminated it. The main contribution of the Islamic Golden Age to world culture is in actually mathematics. Okay, so they took all the math in the Greek world and in the Persian world and in the Hindu world, and then they would systemize it and then build on top of it. Okay, this is a rendition of the House of Wisdom. This is where the three major creative civilizations would meet and exchange ideas, right? The Greeks, the Jews, and the Persians. They would also take ideas from the Indian tradition and the Chinese tradition as well. The major literature or literary work that we still have today from the Islamic Golden Age is the Arabian Nights, okay? Scholars have looked at this very closely, and most scholars believe that these stories are actually from India. Also, what's important for us to understand is that at the time this was translated, it was actually not that popular within the Muslim world. Poetry, philosophy, mathematics, science were considered the high arts. This was considered low arts. What we have today is that the Europeans would discover this centuries after the Islamic Golden Age, and they fell in love with these stories, and that's why we still have them today. And Disney movies are based on this as well. Okay, so let's look at some of the major thinkers and philosophers of the Islamic Golden Age. So at this time in world history, we don't differentiate between philosophers, poets, scientists, mathematicians, okay? All intellectuals engage in all these different fields, okay? So the one most famous is Rumi, who is Persian, a poet, a mystic, a philosopher. Ibn Sina is probably the most famous intellectual of the Islamic Golden Age. His books, his works were admired in Europe, okay? So the Islamic philosophy was being exported to Europe, where it would have a major influence on many of Europe's major thinkers. You may have heard a man named Leonardo Fibonacci. You should have heard of him in math class. Well, at this particular time in history, he was going to Baghdad to study from the leading mathematicians of this time and taking their ideas and importing them all back to Europe. Okay, so this is Ibn Sina, and the Latin name is Avicenna. Ibn Rushd, Averroes, is also a major intellectual at this time. Just to show you how influential these two were in Europe, let's look at Dante's Divine Comedy. So Dante is in hell, and there in limbo, he's meeting the most influential, the greatest philosophers in human history who have influenced European civilization. Obviously, he's going to name Socrates and Plato, okay? But guess what? He also names Averroes and Aberchanti, okay? So Dante is acknowledging the debt Europeans have to Islam. This is important for us because the Muslim intellectual influence on Europe has been whitewashed from history. This is something you do not learn in school usually. But without Islam, you can make the argument that Europe could not have modernized, okay? And later on, I'll explain why that's the case. Omar Khayyam is also another famous intellectual, poet, philosopher. This man, Musa al-Hazami, is considered the father of modern-day algebra. His Latin name is Algorithmi, okay? And if this sounds familiar, it's because his name will give us the modern English word algorithm. Both algebra and algorithm were originally Arabic words. All right, so most of the math you're studying in school actually originated during the Islamic Golden Age. This name is Al-Hazan, and he invented physics, basically, optics. Again, extremely influential. And again, these ideas will be imported back to Europe, and they will become the basis of the Renaissance. Okay? Al-Zahari is the father of surgery. At this time in world history, the very best hospitals are in the Islamic world, by far. This is the first 24-hour hospital in Baghdad. What's also amazing about these hospitals is that if you are poor and could not pay, you could receive medical treatment for free. That was just part of the faith. All poor were treated with great charity and kindness during the Islamic Golden Age. This is Al-Qarawiyyan. Again, guys, I don't speak Arabic. I'm probably butchering the name. But it was founded in 859 in Fez, Morocco. This is important because this is actually the first degree-granting university in the whole world. And it's still there, guys. Okay? This is the oldest university in the world. What's also amazing is it was founded by a woman who inherited a fortune from her father, and she spent all her money on building this university. All right?
Brief interruption. If you ever get a chance to go to Fez, it is the most amazing city in the world. It's absolutely stunning. Absolutely.
Morocco is an amazing country as well. Okay, so 1258, the Islamic Golden Age officially came to an end, or that's what scholars believe. And the reason why is in 1258, the Mongols will sack Baghdad and they will burn all the books, okay? Or that's what the legend tells us. Baghdad had a thriving bookstore culture, and this was unique in the world. Intellectuals or the elite, they spent a lot of their resources on buying books, and they imported paper from China. They learned how to make paper from China. So books were extremely popular within Baghdad, okay, especially among the elite. As well, because of the Quran, it was necessary for the elite to be literate. It was demanded of you to be literate. And the Quran will also standardize Arabic and make it the official language of the entire Muslim world. Okay? But just because the Islamic Golden Age ended does not mean that creativity stopped in the Muslim world. This is Ibn Khaldun, and he is considered the father of social science, okay? Economics, quantitative history, politics. This man invented a lot of these disciplines. He is most famous for his idea of asabeya, which just means social cohesion. So he was actually the first to systematically think about grand history. Why do civilizations rise and why do they decline? And his conclusion is that the borderlands are able to conquer empires because the borderlands, the people there, have asabaya, which just means that they are more egalitarian, more free, more cohesive as a culture. Whereas the empire, because it's so big, it loses a lot of cohesion. Okay? And again, Ibn Khaldun is a major inspiration for the history that I try as well. From 1300 to 1700, the world will be dominated by three major empires: the Ottomans, the Safavids in Iran, and the Mughals in India. They are collectively known as the gunpowder empires. So what's amazing is, since its inception in about 622, up until the year 1700, the Islamic religion dominated the world.